Because a lot of, like, especially like the last week they had in America, well, like, who was scrimming? Because half the teams just left. Like a lot of the scrim partners just left because they were done with the season. Their season was done. They're not going to scrim when your season's done, right? So you had, yeah, that's a scrim against contenders teams. Like I know, I think we scrimmed against a lot of Korean contenders teams. You know. Nice. But like, I mean, there's a big difference between streaming against Korean contenders teams and fucking NA contenders teams. Like, there's a huge difference. Like, Korean contenders teams is pretty good practice because they're really good. Like, the Korean contenders teams are really good, but the NA contenders teams, in comparison, I think are kind of weak. I mean, obviously, again, this is pure conjecture. There's no way to prove this.
No, I won't.
I mean, I can still do this play.
No, we're good.
Chipsa go on top.
Oh,
I bubbled, I use bubble.
I'm out now.
Come back down, come back.
Get shit on, dude. Oh, damn. That did hit. Trace is low, no recall. She's like no blinks.
Is there Doom here? I want to
Shield's down. Hold on.
Oh, actually, yeah, that'll live there.
Massive.
The good thing with me sitting on Lucio there is that he can't beat. Like, if I'm on top of Lucio there, he can't beat me because he just gets cancelled by me. It's too risky. All the American out teams dropped the contenders team. American contenders is a joke right now. Yeah, I mean, I think even like the one team that seemed really good in NA contenders, Team Doge, is like had all their players poached. I mean, NA as a region is always going to be weak. I think. What? That was a double fire strike.
Oh,
He deflected at the same time.
Left.
Wow, that's kind of fortunate. Like there's 3 people with low HP there. Should be fine here. I shouldn't get pushed. I don't think we can go. We get a close fight though.
Right.
Sorry, very nice.
That was light, nice. That's a nice shot at the end there. No, I'm actually not sure we get that kill.
I'm fucking dead. Fuck.
Keep out.
Oh fuck, I fucked my punch, yeah, I'm dead as fuck. So I get bubbled. Oh, that Genji whiffed down me.
Did you know?
Who do you sleep?
Oh, they bubbled him.
You want?
I don't have my lab right now. I fucked that up so bad.
One should one.
I can't fight the Tracer here, it's too risky. Even in favorable territory, it won't be it's not possible. I don't know how the fuck I got chunked so hard there. I think we can check triple dinked me. School was pogged today, XCCR.
Thanks, shield regen.
Finish the scrim against Team Avoided. Team Avoided is the perfect example of a team that ruins the competitive landscape because scrimming against Team Avoided is the most pointless experience known to man. Because no actual good teams play the way that they play. No actual teams play. I mean, fundamentally, they are a cheese team. They always will be a cheese team because they don't actually have any good players.
I see.
Oh, imagine being that greedy. Imagine getting away with it. Holy fuck.
One.
Ah, they probably don't get. Nah, he doesn't get away with it. Nice. Got bullied today. XQC not L. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Wait, how does school work in COVID? Like, do any of you guys actually go into school? Total Chaos work, some team pulled out. Yeah, of course it could. You'd have to have really good one-trick players. Problem is that comp isn't sustainable. This comp's never going to win you a championship. Because any time that, if the comp is good, then it gets played by every team. Tracer's half. She recalls down here. I don't know. She entered that pulse one so bad with it. What the fuck? Where did he go? I love it when they just go invisible when you uppercut them. Why AMCA is not good? Of course he's not good. What the fuck? How can you think a player like that's good? You have to be delusional to think a player like that's actually good at the game. They're just good at one hero.
Something's high gun. Loki's high gun.
Oh wait, that's me.
And Genji's behind.
You know, I'd never. To be fair, I would literally never consider myself a really like a good player.
Oh, they're all shattered. Fuck.
What's this low? Oh shit. It entirely depends on your meaning of good. It's entirely what it's based on. Like, YMCA is not even a contenders level player. Like, not even close. By the nature, I mean, the whole team is. Oh wow, I didn't think they get that low really.
What do you want?
Chunk that was hard. Oh wow. Actually, I killed Lucio there. Now, Lucio is just, I think he's a sniper. He's either a sniper or he's really bad. Because he's chasing me around like so much. Win traded, on turn 4. See the British Hurricane match? What do you mean? No, why would I watch EU Contenders? I mean, EU Contenders is actually even worse than NA Contenders, which is hilarious. Again, like all the good players either are now or they're retired. That's just the nature of EU as a scene right now. There is no EU scene, unfortunately. There's one good team, British Hurricane. It's just it.
Go in, go.
That's a good shot.
Nice, struggle. You're nuts.
Overwatch in general is fucking dead. Yeah, the problem with Overwatch is that there's no tier 2 scene really. It's always been the problem, and I think it always will be. Because you have to look at the two regions that really provide the talent. It's EU and it's Korea. Now Korean Contenders is actually, I think is, I'm not an expert, but I think it's in a pretty healthy spot. Korean Contenders is fine, but EU Contenders is so dead, and they're investing in NA Contenders. The problem with NA Contenders is there's basically no NA talent. That's the problem. Oh, I need primal. That's always been the problem with NA. The players don't practice. It's the same in every fucking esport, honestly. Got the stall off. I don't actually any ability there. That's kind of amazing.
What do you want?
Best work ethic. I mean, the problem is that the problem fundamentally is that NA players don't have work ethic. That is the problem.
You've been away from the back.
What the fuck? I like so bad there. Did you guys see that on your screen as well? Or just on my screen?
Oh my bubble in the nuts.
Oh, I'm missing like everything right now. Nice shit, nice grab. That was so strange. Like it felt like I was punching into an enemy grab and then out. It's just like really bugged. All Grand Finals have more NA players than EU players? True. That's actually true. Fair. For me, Moth strikes me as pretty much the only NA player I actually consider really good. Super's good as well, honestly, but I don't think he's like elite tier. Take it seriously, status of sports. No, because here's the thing. The reason that Americans are really good at American sports, I mean, first things first, the main reason is because they're the only country in the world that really plays the sports. Like, they're the only country that really plays American... I mean, they are pretty much the only country that plays American football. They're pretty much the only country that plays baseball. And basketball's played around the world, that's true. They dominate that. But they are still by far the country that plays it the most, I think. But, like, it's ingrained into their culture to be a pro football player. Like a pro-American football player, a pro-baseball player, a pro-basketball player. It's ingrained into their culture. It's not the same in esports. In Korea, especially, it's super ingrained into you that gaming is, as far as I know, gaming is considered much more of a genuine career. Much more of like, and generally, I would argue that the Korean work ethic is very strict, very disciplined. And that's what separates them. A lot of these Korean players don't have egos the same way that NA players do. The entire reason why NA's behind the region, like it's not genetic. Like that's a ridiculous statement. I think it's cultural. That's the difference between in my opinion, the top Korean teams and top Korean players and top Korean coaches and the top Western And EU is like sort of like that. EU's scene's not great, but I just feel like EU's culture is much more like free flowing. Like I think EU could still be the most talented region, even though I don't think that's true anymore. Holy fuck, there's just no money in it. That's such a fucking stupid way to die. It's cringe just playing Sombra here. Suicide rate, oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that the way that the culture is in Korea around esports is good, because if you go like here's the thing, you hear about your players like your Carpes and your fucking Fakers and people like that. You don't hear about the guy who does the same amount of shit and it just isn't good at the game. You don't hear about that guy. That guy's life's ruined because he commits his entire life into esports in fucking Insid. Why has he nanoed me? Why didn't you just shoot me? Oh, that's talentless.
I got some here. Right half. Jump up, jump up, jump up.
I'm in trouble here, maybe. Trace has a hard on for me.
He has a grab here.
Oh, what the fuck? He like slid and then unslid. What?
Monkey up, monkey up, monkey up.
I'm going for the Zarya here.
Fishy tank. Dead.
Nice shot.
There's no way he can contest here. Just body block him. He has to go round if he wants to do it. I don't know why he's coming in now. It's a really weird play.
I'll push hard.
I guess he doesn't play Sombra. But they need to play Sombra to be good on Sombra. Hero kind of plays itself. More with his EU and dominate outro. Like here's the weird thing. I guarantee if you put every EU and NA contenders team against our teams, the team that would do the best would be avoided. I'm 100% sure of that. Because they'd get cheese value.
I'm dead. How many push on the left?
Wow, that's completely tragic level
They're all
play.
pushing you. They're all pushing you.
But you give avoided a week or two in AL, they get completely steamrolled. Because once coaches can actually review VODs and shit, once you have teams with elite tier coaches, talentless, they become a useless team. I think, my opinion. Right. So they basically avoided or just Chengdu. They're a team that, in my opinion, don't have any truly good players, and they just basically rely on running off meta cheese strats to get wins.
Reaper one.
So talentless, bro.
I bubbles him too.
Behind you.
Damn. This is Lucio. That bubble was really good by him. Saved his Lucio's life. I actually think that land's dead on pretty much. Or like, there's about 150 to him.
Yeah, they use the MP.
Monkey.
They're primal. I don't know, man. I don't like the creep here. It's like so talentless. When you're a shit player, just play Sombra, you'll get by. It's fucking cringe. Only few good NA players don't have giant egos like Moth and Dante. Pretty much the only good NA players, in my opinion, are in AL. I can't think of any NA players. The only NA player I can think of really that deserves AL is like Sugarfree, but Sugarfree is like he's like 12 years old, so he's too young. But Sugarfree is a fucking nut monster. The guy's cracked. Out the wazoo. But you have so many of these like NA players just have like such massive egos and it cripples their career. Oh wow, that did not hit the wall there.
Just hacked.
You didn't?
Did you sleep?
We're even.
I bubble.
Just one.
It's low as fuck. Oh shit. Oh. Man, that's fucking unlucky. That bubble, if that Winston bubble's not there, he dies for free then. It's really fucking annoying. I don't know what our comp is right now. I don't know why both teams have a Zai. I don't think Zai is good here.
Sombra right side.
Alright, so we can walk up now. That guy should be really dead. Can we just ban this guy, please, mods?
I have the go. I haven't had the
No, I've said it a million times. Like, in almost every esport I can think of, like, NA just isn't good. And I don't think it's because there's not good American players. It's because there is. It's because of ego issues. Wow. So fundamentally talentless. You just press Q and you win the fight. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. You press Q, you win the fight. So fucking broken. I guarantee if I played Sombra, I got top 10, dude. This year is fucking so trivial. Like yeah, I mean the only reason, like the only countries really that the sports that America's good at is American sports. It's because they're called American sports because they basically were invented. Well, they were invented in America. Why is Reaper here? I can't believe this. I'm so tilted that I've died to such an awful play. But it is what it is. Such a low elo game, to be fair. I should have just switched to him, honestly. I don't know why I'm still on it. Can we touch? GG. I don't know. He needs to know. I don't think he can play Kree here. We can beat him if he plays Reaper, Sombra, or Tracer. I don't think he can play Kree here. Because if he plays Kree, we have to shift our entire comp around it. I don't know. A shit player just played Sombra, so we lost. Is what it is. Just plays Sombra Reaper.